Okay, then. Let's get back into some of these other shows now. A wild last boss appeared. Don't know anything about this one. I think this is a high dive one, I think. I'm not sure. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Probably something fantasy related. Let's find out.
This is one of those moments where I feel like this story is hampered specifically by being an isekai. Because if you just take the isekai elements out of this story, it becomes kind of compelling. Like, before I knew this was an isekai, in the intro, where it's just this demon general who starts off apparently as a young girl searching for justice and then becomes like a demon lord general and then gets sealed away by the heroes, that was like a good setup. And then it revealed that it was just inside of a game, and I'm like, well, fuck me then. This character's not... Well, whatever. But if this had not been an isekai, then where a no-faced self-insert gamer gets isekai'd into being this demon lord general lady who gets summoned, who gets unsealed in this world, like, if you just take the isekai elements out of that, that's a compelling story. Like, who's like, demon lord general gets defeated, but she's kind of satisfied with the defeat. It was a good battle. And then when she gets unsealed, she's like, I'm done fighting, actually. I'm just gonna go, like, explore shit. That's a good story. But when you have the isekai element in it, it takes the motivation away from the character and puts it into and gives it to the self-insert. So it's like, that's kind of lame. At least to me, that's kind of lame. Also, this show has one of my anime pet peeves where it's character walks up to another character and says, explain what happened. And then it jump cuts to the character who asked the question, then repeating back all of the information. Because, like, that's stupid. I don't understand where this style of exposition came from. Like, why couldn't you just have the character who was asked the question do the exposition? Why do we have to have a readback of it? I don't understand why this happens. It's like one of my biggest anime pet peeves, because it only happens in anime as far as I can tell. I have not seen this type of narration in other mediums. It's only anime. So I don't know, like, and then manga obviously too, but you get my point. I don't know why, but it annoys me. I don't like it, and this show is disappointing.
Disappointing. Wild last boss off the list. Next. The Banished Court Magician aims to become the strongest. That's a very long title. It makes me not excited, but let's give it a shot.
Oh look, it's another story about a guy getting banished from the party. Yay. I'm being really facetious, but honestly, this is probably the best setup for that premise that I've seen so far, because the guy running the party is like a pompous, arrogant asshole prince, and so it actually makes sense that he's getting kicked out of the party, because he's a Joffrey little cunt, and the guy getting kicked out of the party is not making him look good enough. He's not making the prince look flashy enough, and so you fired. Bye bye. At least that part makes sense. But why I don't care is because I don't know a goddamn thing about this guy, other than he was taught magic by a former court magician and wants to change the court because that guy got fired and banished from the country or whatever. But apparently that's about to happen to him anyway, so who gives a fuck? I don't know anything about this guy other than that he knows magic and wants to change the court for his old teacher's sake. I don't know what kind of person he is. Maybe he's hardworking. The montages are fine at the beginning. It's not the worst looking show, but it's also not great looking either. It's pretty average. It's just kind of nothing really. There's really nothing here. I hate the main character's character design solely because of how fucking generic it is. It's just nothing.
Lame. So very lame. Banished Court Magician, you are banished from my list. Anyway, touring after the apocalypse. Did not see anybody talk about this show. For some reason in my brain, I equated it with Apocalypse Hotel for a while, mostly just because of the name similarities. I assume this is some kind of slice of life thing, maybe. We'll see how it do.
It's really giving we have Yokohama shopping log at home. Yeah, this is, I don't dislike this one, but it doesn't have what it takes to do what it's trying to do. What it's trying to do is be a slice of life show about a post-apocalyptic society, which, again, not unique, but a lot of potential to be like, hey, what humanity's like dipped down a little bit. What does society look like in terms of like, oh, people actually do just kind of want to continue on with their lives afterwards. They don't want to do like Mad Max shit. Everything's going to be kind of overgrown because we don't have the resources to manage that anymore. So, good in concept. I mentioned Yokohama for a reason. It's one of my favorite manga. It's really good. But, like, if you're going to... And also, the anime's really good, too. I've only seen the second OVA. I haven't seen the first OVA yet. I need to get around to that. But, like, if you're going to do this premise, you absolutely have to fucking nail the art direction. You have to be at Yokohama shopping log level. You have to be at Girls Last Tour level. Because if you're not, it just doesn't work. And this show is like 80% of the way there. And so it just doesn't work. Like, you have to be right there. Like, the backgrounds are detailed, but they're not pretty. They're not, like, alluring. They're not mysterious or captivating. There's not anything going on. There's not anything interesting going on with the color direction. It's just very bright and sunny. And I get what they're going for. Like, oh, bright and sunny. Like, this isn't a bad apocalypse. This is just, like, a continuing on with everything normal apocalypse. But also, you can get that across while also having good color direction that's not just flat anime coloring. Yeah, and boy, a lot of CG assets in this. Even some of the animals were CG, and I could tell even when they weren't moving that they were CG because of how weird they looked next to some of the background stuff. Like, there was a deer on a bridge, on an overpass at one point that just looked really out of place. So it's like, the show's not all the way there with its art direction, And for this kind of premise, you have to be all the way there. Also, I do not like Miyu Tomita's performance in this. I don't think she normally does deadpan lolly. Sometimes I feel like she has in the past, but she's not nailing it here. It's very generic sounding. I'm sure there's some roles I'm forgetting from her, but most of her other roles have been a lot more excitable. She's a lot better when she's being hyper expressive than when she's being the opposite. Anyway, little disappointing.
Okay, well, we don't need this anymore. Touring After the Apocalypse off the list. Next is Inexpressive Kashiwada and Expressive Oota. Another one that I have not seen anybody talk about. Think I can get the gist of what the show might be about from the adjectives here. Let's see if my hunches are correct.
Never before have I seen a soundtrack try so hard to make up for the total lack of juice in a show. Inexpressive, whatever the fuck her name is, it's boring. It's so slow. You can see the punchlines coming from a mile away. It doesn't look particularly good. It's not bad looking, but it doesn't look particularly good. It's just so nothing. And it's just so... I'm not going to say it's not trying, but it just does not have the juice. Except the soundtrack. I'm going to look up who did the soundtrack because, you know what? Let's go ahead and do that right now since my computer is so close to me because I am so very curious about the one guy who is really, really trying on this production. Where are you? Tetsuya Shitara. I don't know who Tetsuya Shitara is. Oh, his very short list. I don't even know those other two things. It looks like he was on some shorts or OVAs or something before this, and this is his first TV thing, maybe? Good on you, man. You tried. Everything else is boring.
Okay. Man, I wish that was funny, but, well, I always wish the comedies are funny when they're not funny, but it wasn't funny. Alright, Dad's a hero, Mom's a spirit, I'm a reincarnator. Okay. I should not judge a book by its title, but I have been conditioned to think this way. You understand. Let's give it a shot anyway.
Thoroughly mediocre. Just so not interesting. Massive exposition dump for like the first 6 minutes, not including the OP. Or I guess including the OP, but not impressive visually. Pretty weak actually. There was one overhead shot of a crowd and they were CG stuff and they just looked real bad. They weren't even moving, but the CG was so bad that you could tell they were CG character models just to fill in a crowd shot. Like what's the point of that? What is the point of that actually? If the character's not even moving, what's the point of having CG crowd characters? It's got to be just as much, it's got to be more effort than drawing fucking 2D ones. 2D ones you could go bleh, bleh, bleh. Well, I shouldn't talk about how things are done since I'm not an animator, but I assume 3D rendering of a model takes more time than a low-res, far-away shot, 2D shot. I don't get it. But anyway, This is also apparently an isekai that I completely forgot was an isekai until like almost 6 minutes in. Because I was like, so it's Dad's a hero, Mom's a spirit, I'm a reincarnator. My brain just stops at the second part of that because it's like, I get this. It's like, okay, I get the premise. You're the daughter of a hero and a spirit. Cool premise. But then you threw isekai in there and it became less cool. This is the same thing as fucking Wild Last Boss. You had a okay premise and then you had to throw isekai in there to make it less interesting. Like, what would the life of a child who was born to a hero and a spirit be like in a fantasy world? Doesn't matter, because they have the soul of some lame Japanese scientist in them. Who gives a fuck? I don't like it. I'm definitely going to do a Substack post about this. The Substack post might be up by the time you read this, or you see this, depending on when I actually decide to start putting these out. Yeah, I just don't like this. When there's an okay premise and then they have to put fucking isekai in it because they can't possibly imagine how a protagonist would function if they were just born into the fantasy world. It has to be a self-insert. It has to be some Japanese guy or girl. It has to, because, I don't know, trends, algorithms, lack of creativity. Who fucking cares? It sucks.
Okay. What? Isekai ruins everything now. Not really, but kill me. Anyway, Mechanical Mari. This one got a lot of hype going into the season. And by hype, I mean promotion. This one got a pretty decent chunk of promotion going into the season, and I have not seen anybody talk about it. So, maybe hidden gem? Maybe shit? Let's find out.
So this is a weird series to talk about, not necessarily because of anything it did or anything I could 100% say it did, but because I think this is the first series, the first anime series where we've seen generative AI allegations without the studio announcing that they were using Gen AI. Now, to clarify, the author of the original manga pointed out that the shots in question, which are these postcard memory shots, he did cite a specific animator for them. I haven't checked the animator's other work, but if you're going to cite a specific animator, it's pretty, it's probably real. It's probably not Gen AI. I've seen, the shots that people are talking about, and I can understand why they might look, why, I guess, because they are very weird, postcard memory shots. They don't quite match, but I don't think that's necessarily the fact that AI was used, and more so the fact that the show just doesn't look very good. It's not, or I should, there are a lot of parts of this show that do look pretty solid. It's not gonna blow your mind or anything. It's a very, it is not a high budget comedy. I don't like using the word, no, it is not a high intensity comedy production, I should say. It's very low-key, not a lot of movement. Character designs are very simple. So there's not a lot going on. And even then, it still doesn't, there's still a lot of stuff that does not look very good. Some stuff does look okay, but there's nothing in here that's going to blow your mind. There is a lot of stuff that just does not look good. And it does, and it looks bad in, like, I guess, an interesting kind of way, I should say, or at least a way that I'm not used to, with how certain things move, how certain character models, like, melt and deform and such. So, for the sake of believing in the production team, I guess, I will go under the assumption that this is just a bad production and that they weren't using AI, because they haven't announced that they use AI. There's no definitive proof that they've used AI. It's just speculation on the internet. And I think that's very damaging, I think, because if we've already breached containment now, we have accused a production that had a pretty decent chunk of marketing behind it. We have accused this kind of production, a full TV anime production, of using Gen AI without informing the viewer of such. So now containment has been breached. That is now open to pretty much any production now. That kind of discussion. I hope that kind of talk doesn't explode across the anime community, but I have seen Twitter, so I know that it's just going to, now that this is out there, we are just going to constantly be seeing AI accusations thrown around about any given production, and it's probably just going to steadily increase more and more and more from there. And it's very weird that this particular show was the one to break the seal, because it's about a girl who's very good at hiding her expressions, pretending to be a robot in order to deceive her master, because her master doesn't trust any humans and he absolutely disdains people lying to them or lying to him. And so she has to continue on this charade of pretending to be a robot. You could not write this. You could not write this situation yourself. It is a show about a girl deceiving people into being a robot, being accused of having robots make it. It's so bizarre. And so ironic that this show got this treatment. Again, I am going to err on the side of it just looks bad, because I've seen the shots they mentioned, and it's like, I could go either way on it. Like, I could go either, yeah, that might be AI, or yeah, that just is just a bad drawing. But like, I'm not going to just outright accuse anyone of doing AI work on a notable anime production without proof of it, because I think that's bad form. And trust me, if you remember from my thoughts on Dusk at the End of the World, or whatever the fucking show is, I'm not an AI guy. I'm not about it. But witch hunts are not the answer. I've talked far more about AI than I have talked about anything regarding this show, which is probably indicative of how I think about this show. It's fine. It's completely, totally average, except for when it looks really bad. The comedy is okay. Nothing else noteworthy about it, which is kind of a shame, because that's kind of how the AI... That's probably how the AI accusations started to bubble up. Oh well.
Okay, Mechanical Mari is coming off the list, unfortunately. Wish it could have been better, but whatever. Alright, next up, Hands Off Sawaranaide Kotesashi-kun. Have not heard anybody talk about this, haven't seen any promotion for this. I know literally nothing about it. Give me a chance to surprise me. Come on, do it, show. Surprise me.
I have seen almost this exact intro multiple times from different ecchi harem anime over the years. Like, I feel like I've seen it recently. Like, the goes to a dorm, turns out the guy's the new dorm caretaker, and the dorm is all girls? Like, is that the only ecchi premise left now? Is that the only thing you're allowed to do? At least Crunchyroll had the tits. Like, you could see some boobies. They weren't particularly impressive. But, at least they had them. Also, the show looks like shit. I congratulate it on at least trying to do interesting things with the frame by doing split screens. But also, I don't think the director understands how negative space works. So, like, it looks kind of weird sometimes, or most of the time, actually. I mean, this sucks. We got double lucky pervert intro plus getting guy getting the shit beat out of him. Do I have to say any more? I don't think I have to say any more. If you got past that, your standards are much lower than mine, or you have very different priorities about what to watch. Yeah, no.
Literally the least surprising thing ever, I guess. Okay. Sawaranaide, Kotesashi, goodbye. Alright, next. May I ask for one final thing? I was torn between this and Sanda for being like an end cap kind of show for these episodes. This one had more, I guess. This one came out of nowhere more than Sanda. Sanda had a lot more hype behind it, and it didn't get as picked up by the community. And this one got picked up right away as like sort of a black sheep kind of one. But it's also died off a lot, whereas Sanda sort of picked up popularity a little bit more as it went. So hopefully I didn't make a mistake of making this one the end cap, but we're about to find out. Alright, pretty fun time. Just finished up May I Ask for One Final Thing? I think that was the title. Yeah, fun. I will say it definitely, the gimmick does begin to wane gradually as the show goes along, but you know what? It's a good gimmick to have. I would characterize this show as sort of the flip side of Too Perfect Saint. If you remember me talking about that from a couple seasons ago, where that show is everybody is unduly mean to the main character because they are jealous of her, and so she eventually ends up in a situation where everybody appreciates her, and she learns how to to appreciate herself. This is a show where everybody is unduly mean and jealous to the main character, and so she just beats the shit out of them. Which, although not very complex in terms of its narrative, is very gratifying. Because it's like on the one hand, it's like, man, it's cool and all that she just gets to beat the shit out of all these dumb, obnoxious men, but like, wouldn't it be cool if there was like a little bit more complexity to the plot in how she did this, or how she put herself in situations where she could do this?
or if she just did workarounds where she didn't have to just beat up everybody. Like, that's like anime writer brain me talking. And then some more stuff from the Epstein files came out while I was watching this, and I'm like, no, actually, she should just kill them. She should just kill them all brutally and nastily. Because, like, I was watching Two Perfect Saint while other really fucking stupid government shit was happening, and I was like, oh no, the over-the-top anime villains are like totally justified here. And I feel the same here. The over-the-top maniacal cackling anime villains are totally justified because we live in hell. We live in hell. There is no punishment that is harsh enough. They should have the shit beaten out of them. I'm talking about the anime villains, of course. I'm talking about the anime villains for legal reasons. Yes. I have definitely come around on... Like, I shouldn't say I've come around on cackling maniacal anime villains, because I've made this point like several times over the years, like way back in like fucking Hugto, I think, was the first time I thought about this concept. Like, Hugto Precure was the first time where I was like, oh, right, some people are just evil and mean and nasty for no reason. Like, some people are just like that. Especially people with power who just openly flaunt the fact that they are greedy assholes who think that they can just have whatever they want because they have power. And it's not until someone beats the absolute living fuck out of them that they not necessarily change, but they are at least stopped. So yes, very fun to see bad people beaten up. There's not a whole lot of characterization to all of it, aside from like the sort of all the flashback stuff in the first episode with Scarlet, our main character, does a really solid job of setting up why she is the way that she is, and why she just wants to beat the shit out of every person in her path who pisses her off. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of assholes to beat up. Aside from, and I'm not saying there's no characterization throughout the show. There is, but it's very minimal. Often, not often, but occasionally lacking. There's not a lot of people in this cast that I'm really like, wow, that's a cool guy. That's a cool character. A lot of them are just there to service Scarlet. Initially, I had this, as I was going on, I was like, is this one of those one good character syndrome kind of shows where they have one good character because of a gimmick that really works for that character, and everything else is just kind of there to support the gimmick? It definitely has hints of that every so often. Sorry, but there are a couple cool other characters. One minor character that I really liked is this, what's this, Alflame, the prince of a neighboring kingdom, who just is absolutely head over heels for Scarlet because she can beat the shit out of everybody, even him. And his belief that her talents are being wasted in the kingdom that she's currently in. But because he is a boorish, single-minded oaf, he keeps saying dumb shit to her as well that keeps pissing her off. Which is a running theme in this show of just men not being considerate of women. Or I should say, men not being considerate of a woman who they think they don't need to be considerate of, i.e. Scarlet. Which is like, a very subtle but very fun and very important message to have. Like, just because she's like a bit of a tomboy, or just because she is brutal in her fighting style, she still likes being a lady. She still likes being treated nicely. Like, even aside from gender, she wants to be treated like a noble lady, or just treated like a person who is not the mad dog noblewoman, as they call her, or the Lady of Beatings, or any of the other nicknames they give her. And the fact that even the people closest to her keep making this mistake really does piss her off, and she's not afraid of showing that. I liked that. And then the other character that I thought was a really solid addition to this was the main villain of the season, Terenetsa, who, surprise, comes from another world. It's an isekai story. This is an isekai, but it's not for the main character, it's for the villain. After a string of isekai lately where the isekaiing has just not worked and sometimes actively hampered the story, this was a welcome relief in that the isekaiing felt thematically warranted in a way. Like, this is a girl who was having a pretty mediocre to shitty life in the real world. Not necessarily because of anyone's fault, mostly because she just seems like kind of a rotten person who thinks that everyone is shit, talking down to her all the time. That could be true, or it could be that she's just reading into things too much and has a persecution complex. But anyway, one of the gods of this world just basically killed her, took her soul, and put it in an artificial body in this world so that she could enact her plans to take over this kingdom or something. I'm not entirely sure what Palmia's whole plan was, but I like that. I like the way that isekai is used here. I like that it's a tool that disrupts the natural order of things for this world. And I like that it's this girl who seems like dead set on being the heroine, the main character, to a fault, to the point of becoming the villain because she can't see past her arrogance and her just her sheer greed, sheer desire to be wanted and needed and be looked up to and stuff. Good characterization there. And then Scarlet beat the shit out of her, which was very fun. Which is like, I don't think she's necessarily someone that needs to be redeemed. To be honest, like, she wasn't like a put upon girl of circumstance, or a girl who was forced into villainy through circumstance. She kind of was, but she sort of gladly accepted her circumstances, so I don't feel bad when Scarlet beats the shit out of her. But aside from them, honestly, a lot of the characters are pretty lacking. Like, there is an episode where Scarlet was unconscious for 2/3 of it, and it was the slowest part of the series by a long shot. It dragged on so much. So it really shows just how much this show relies on Scarlet as the central pillar of its plot and its thematic focus and so on. So that was a little disappointing. And of course, as the show goes on, it's sort of like gets the beating the shit out of people gets slightly less cathartic as it goes on, because it's the same gag, but it's a good gag, but even a good gag gets old eventually. I do like that it has an interesting power system in this, where it's like certain people are bestowed certain gifts by different gods, and she just so happened to be bestowed the blessing of time from Cronoa, and so she uses that to manipulate how fast she can move or how slow the world around her moves, and that's one of the ways that she just is able to beat the living daylights out of everybody. Cool power set to deliver some mostly solid animation. Well, occasionally solid animation. I'll say the fights are mostly solid. There's some good cuts here and there. Occasionally it just gets downgraded to panning shots and such. But especially some of the earlier episodes, it looks pretty solid. I really like the character designs for Scarlet and Terranetza. All of the guys in this, except for Nanaka, the Beast guy, and Alflame, the other prince, aside from those two, most of the guy designs are kind of mediocre. Not super interesting to look at people. There's one guy who's basically just Serpico from Berserk, but with like slightly wavier hair. And he's not terribly interesting. There's definitely a bit of jank to it in more places than I would have liked. It's not. This is not a super solid production front to back. It's not bad looking. It is very rarely bad looking, but I would say, and its heights are pretty solid, but there is definitely some inconsistency to it, and there's a lot of just kinda okay. There's a lot of just kinda okay, which I guess goes for the narrative too. There's a lot of stuff that's just kinda okay, which definitely drags it down a bit. I have some. I'm not necessarily qualms with the ending of how Julius's power, the Prince Julius, the main romantic interest for Scarlet, his power turns out to be when his love for Scarlet allows him to get a power boost and give her a power boost. Not necessarily a qualm, but I do think Scarlet having to get a power boost from a man, as particular a man that has been toying with her for most of the series, I'm not going to say it leaves a bad taste in my mouth, but it is something that made me like stop and think, you know? Not necessarily like this is a bad way to do a climax, but it's like this is a questionable way to do a climax. It made me stop and think do I like this, rather than make me think, oh wow, this is super fucking cool. You know what I mean? It's not, I don't dislike it, it just gave me pause. But yeah, this was a solid show. Definitely dragged a bit. There were definitely some points where I was like, do I really want to finish it? I feel like I've gotten the point, kind of, especially like in the like episodes 8 to 11 ish, that around that area was where I was really like, do I really want to keep watching this? I feel like I've gotten the point, but I do think it was definitely worth finishing. Fun times.
All right. May I ask for one final thing? Is complete. And we're going to go not too as far up as I would have liked, but we're going to put you in the number 44 spot with a strong 6. Definitely could have been stronger in a lot of areas. Would have liked to see a much stronger main cast, but you know what? It's good.